Hey guys, how's it going? Today we are going to be planting 4 Royal Frost birch trees, and we are also going to be pruning some hydrangeas, panicle type hydrangeas, and some roses. But we are here in the high tunnel because I was going to show you the birch trees, which I will in a second, but it is frigid outside. It actually snowed a little bit this morning. The low was like 27. It didn't stick, thankfully, but it's still, that breeze is really cold. And I wanted to show you our fruit trees in here. These are the dwarf fruit trees that we were just in here spraying not that long ago, like 2 weeks ago. And now they are full of bloom, and we closed the high tunnel up last night because it was going to be 27 and I didn't want anything to happen to these trees or to the fruit. I really would like to get fruit this year, but this one is our peach, the Pixie miniature peach that we've had in this container for a really long time. It was struggling year before last. So last year we came in and we repotted it, gave it a bunch of fertilizer, and you can see it is starting to rebound. Clearly, lots of nice signs of life. There's new growth, there's leaves coming out, and it's got quite a number of blooms. And then our miniature nectarine, just loaded up with buds and blooms. They're so pretty, and I wish I could have these outside to enjoy the blooms, but they definitely would. Well, we'd probably lose fruit because the blooms would all freeze off and they would drop off, all of them. Which is what happened to us last year. We lost all of our fruit because of a weird late frost that nobody was expecting. And while it turned into be a bit of a blessing in disguise because it did eliminate a lot of work later on in the season when we are busy, you know, that time of year when harvest kind of season rolls around, I don't want that to happen every year. I want to have fruit this year. So I've been really watching these, monitoring them, and I'm very excited. And I just wanted to give you a little look at them when they are looking so pretty. Honestly, this whole high tunnel is starting to wake up. I can see this Carolina Sweetheart red bud. You see all these buds on the tree. And this is another one that I probably won't move out at this point until we have like no signs of frost, which we've got one more frost tonight on the forecast. But this one has pink and white leaves and green, pink, white, and green. I just didn't get it planted last year, so I'm thrilled to see it looking so full of buds this spring. It's almost spring anyway. And down in here, we've got these little mini daffs coming up in a mixed arrangement that I made last year. And I actually forgot they were in there. I saved this container just for the euphorbia because I want to plant that out in the garden somewhere. And then those came up as a surprise. Okay, now we'll run out and take a look at the birch trees, and then I gotta go get a coat before we continue on. A vest is not gonna cut it today. Okay, we leave this one open because everything in here is tough enough to handle anything. Right over here, we've got the 4 Royal Frost birch trees. Look at how pretty these are. So you can see the bark right here, and it does get a bit more white as the tree ages. Oh, the sun's coming out. Oh, that feels good. And then here's the info. So hardy to zone 4, they grow 40 by 25. Yellow orange to reddish fall color, good resistance to Japanese beetle. We don't deal with that, but if you do, this is a good variety. And most importantly, burgundy leaves. We're putting these next to, or near, I guess, a honey locust tree, which is that kind of beautiful deep green. So I wanted something that contrasted it a little bit more, not just another green leaved tree. So I think these will add some crazy, beautiful winter interest in terms of bark color and just structure of tree. And then they'll add that beautiful kind of burgundy cooling note to the garden in the summertime. And they're already pretty nice size. These are 20-gallon ones. So we are going to use the auger, and it's going to get the tractor out to move them around and to dig the holes. Okay, coat first, and then we're going to get after it. Boy, it looks like rain right there, doesn't it? Right over the house. See if he can get 2. Oh, that's nice.
Well, Daddy does 1 at a time.
Well, Daddy's doing 2 at a time this time around, huh? Pretty nice. We're gonna beat him. We're gonna beat him to the front. Oh, chilly. All right, guys, so this is where the trio is gonna go, right in this little area. You know, we had a blue spruce planted right here, and I just never really loved it. I kind of was wanting something that we could eventually limb up so that you could still see the formal flower garden from, underneath. And I think having the trio is going to be beautiful winter structure. And you'll actually see it. It'll be a vista. As you're driving down this way, you see straight into this flower bed. So you'll see that gorgeous structure. And then to the left, a ways down, we've got the honey locust tree. So we'll have the green, and then we'll have the burgundy color here. Oh, so fun. You can buy a lot of different varieties of trees as multi-trunk in the same container. Or you can get singles like this and you can plant them very close together. And they just kind of work with each other. They speak to each other and they grow together beautifully. And we've done it with several birch trees. In fact, on the west side, we planted, I think it was maybe they were 5 or 7 gallon size. We planted them in the same hole. I had 3 of them. We dug a great big round hole and stuck all 3 root balls in the same hole, and they are beautiful. Are you measuring stuff?
I'm measuring the tree.
Oh, good idea. Thank you. So once we get the 3rd one here, we'll kind of, mess with them and kind of decide exactly where we want them to be in this space. But I think this is going to be a beautiful start to this empty bed. Aaron went to go grab the other 2, so we're just going to hang out and wait until he gets back up here. Maybe I'll work on taking all the tags off. Here comes Aaron with the other 2. I don't know if you can see it, but it's starting to snow again right now. Do you see that? All right, and there is the 4th one. So we had a birch tree planted right here, and it just didn't thrive, and we're not exactly sure why. So we're going to try again because I really like it here. Now, you might wonder about it being so close to the berries, but this is going to sit, or does sit, on the north side of these. So these will still get all the southern exposure, and most of the shade that it casts will be, kind of like in this area here. And it only gets 25 feet wide, so that means 12.5 feet from center, which we've got at least 15 over to this area. But I think it's going to be beautiful because we've got a lot of green in this area. Weeping Alaskan, there's a gin fizz juniper, black lace elderberry, which is also burgundy, but then a Rosa Sharon, which is green, and then our Norway right there. But you guys, we are going to take a little break, and hopefully whatever this is passes quickly and we can come back out here. If not, this is going to be a tomorrow project because I don't really feel like planting in the snow today. My word. You ready to go inside, babe? Yeah. Okay. All right, it is the next day. Every time we tried to come back out and restart this project yesterday, it just started to snow again. It was such a weird day. We had full sun and then wind and then snow and then rain, and then we'd have like the little pellets of snow and then rain again. It was just a really wild day. And today you can see the sun is out, which we were not expecting, but it is a little bit blustery. The wind is supposed to pick up and get a lot stronger this afternoon. So it's likely that we'll get the trees planted and then I will do our pruning project tomorrow. But honestly, it gave us an opportunity, just letting the trees sit here to really look at them. And I love how they look right here, kind of like this, but I think I want them a little bit closer together than we have them currently placed. And that is the beauty of having to put projects off a little bit sometimes, because it really does just allow you that time to think about it, look at it from all angles. And I kind of wanted to position this back one kind of in line with the corner there. And then, just do whatever looked right with the other 2. So I'm going to bring them together. I think what we're going to do is dig one hole first. We'll stake the other 2, and then we'll get one planted and then, dig the holes for the others, because especially if we have them closer together, that auger is just going to kick dirt back into each other's holes if we tried to dig them all at the same time. Anyway, we're going to attempt to get this done. So let's get after it. All right, guys, I took a really long time deciding where exactly I wanted this trio. Poor Erin. You're very patient. First of all, I was trying to line up this back tree with the corner, which is what bothered me when the blue spruce was in here. What I did is I positioned it more this way because it is thicker right here than it is on this side. So visually, like to take up more space and to like center it in the widest spot, it would need to be moved over a little bit. And so I tried the trio over like that, and I didn't want to go that route again because it just bothered me so much that it didn't line up with the corner. And then Erin pointed out that we needed to cut out part of the corner because it wasn't lining up with this run, you know, with the formal flower garden over there. So we decided to just real quick dig out this little section and kind of make it the way it needed to be, which did determine a little bit of a different placement for this back tree, so that was 100% worth it. And I've mentioned before that trios can be a little bit difficult to place because depending on where you're standing, it may or may not look like a trio. It may look like it's off. So I wanted to make sure that from both directions of the driveway that the trio looked nice. And I don't even care what it looks like from other angles. My gator's kind of in the way, but I wanted to make sure that the trio looked like a trio from this angle as you're driving by. Erin's gonna move out of the way. Maybe, you know what, let me move this out of the way too. There we go, a little more open. So you can see as you're driving by, it looks beautiful. The placement is gorgeous, I love it. And then from the other direction, it also looks beautiful. I really like the placement of it. I think it's going to be a really pretty spot in the garden. And I love that it lines up properly with the corner. There's something about that. I don't know if it's because it's near such a formal area or what, but I like that it lines up, and now we can work on filling this area up with some other things. And in the end, honestly, the whole corner thing won't even matter because you won't see it, but you will in the wintertime. You won't see it in season because we'll have shrubs and things like that around these trees, but those won't have leaves on them in the winter. So I think this is really nice. I'm gonna love the white bark right here, the purple leaves, super nice. And Erin has already moved over this direction for our next and last tree. So thankful for the sun because that breeze is a little chilly. The kids are in the flower shed, probably making potions right now. I'll have to go check on them in a while. I have a feeling I'm gonna need to cut some drip out. Yep. All right, here is the other one planted, looking amazing. I'm so happy to have something back here, something vertical back here. I really missed it when that first one didn't make it, and I am not sure why. Like, we're not running into anything different in the soil right here than we do anywhere else. And I thought at first, because like this right here, when I dug the holes for the Baptisia, that was the hardest planting I have probably ever done on our entire property.
Gloves are right over there on the road.
Oh, you found them. Nice. I couldn't find my gloves. Here they are. When I was digging the hole for those Baptisia, it actually overheated the drill. I could smell the smoke, like smell burning smell, and I was getting nowhere. It was crazy. So I figured the reason why we lost the birch was that the soil was just way too hard, or, you know, who knows. Anyway, so we will be monitoring this one pretty darn close. Just to make sure that it thrives this time. But I think, like I mentioned before, pretty much everything around it is green other than the black lace elderberry. So it'll be nice to have some visual difference back here. And we are getting ready to stain all of these berry beds. You can see all the stuff has been removed from the bottoms. Everything's been scraped and ready to roll. Can't wait. All right, now that we've got all 4 birch trees planted, we can move on to some pruning. I had planned on just going into a flower bed, probably pruning either some paniculata or arborescens hydrangeas, and then whatever roses happen to be in that flower bed. But I've got to go change over all the tools in my gator because right now it's just full of stuff I'm not going to need. Yep, all of the digging tools, the big tree cans. Bethany takes these and uses these in her garden, and then I'll go dump all of the sod that we dug out. I just went back there looking for that tank.
What?
I just went back there looking for the tank.
Oh, did
Oh,
you?
yeah, I didn't realize you were out here already. That's awesome. Kids must have gone back inside.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys, I've got my pop-up bag and my pruners, and what we are going to tackle is the Incredible hedge here. And there are some lemon zest landscape roses just down the way, so we'll just kind of take care of this flower bed, and we'll probably pop over and take care of a couple other roses as well. So this area right here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Incredible hydrangeas, and I just love them. And then we've got 5 lemon zest roses right in here, which, you know, technically do not need to be pruned a whole lot, if at all, but I do like to clean them up and just kind of thin them out a little bit. And then right over here on this side, we've got a distant drums rose here. And then this is just a beautiful pink multi-petaled rose. It always gets really huge. I'm kind of wanting to think it's some kind of a small climber. And you can see how tall it is, and it just gets these big old arching stems. It was here when we moved in, so I'm not sure what variety it is. So arborescens, that's the Incredible hydrangea, that's the category it is in. And panicle hydrangeas, I prune exactly the same. And this is just a great time of year to do it because you can easily see the buds. If you wait long enough, I mean, you don't have to wait until it warms up too much if you don't want to, but it is nice to see where you've got a really strong set of buds, and it's really easy to see what branches are dead or damaged, that kind of thing. So both arborescens and panicle type hydrangeas bloom on new wood. So they are really the only type of hydrangeas I will prune this time of year. We don't grow a whole lot of macrophyllus or serratas here because we're just too high pH and they struggle. Our oak leaf hydrangeas, I only deadhead. I do not prune those because they bloom on old wood. So be mindful of that. But basically, the rule of thumb is to take them down to by about 1/3 of their total height. So you leave 2/3 of what's there and take off the top third and just kind of make a nice little shape out of them. It's also a good time to thin them out, like any spindly branches that are on the interior, kind of just making it really thick. It's just a good time to do that. Boy, the wind died down there for a little bit. We took the kids to lunch just now in between the trees and this, and it died down for that entire time, and now that the wind's starting to pick up again. Dang it. So like in this case, you see the old spent bloom, and I'm just going to follow it down to probably right about here. And I'm just going to make my cut right above that set of buds and remove it, which means like this one right here, I'll follow down and try to cut them in a nice little rounded shape. So we'll take that one off. This one we'll take off here. This one's pretty spindly. Out it goes. And so on and so forth. Pretty straightforward. Hey, Russell. So I'm going to finish this one up, and then I will stop and show you what it looks like before we move on to the rest of the hedge. And there's the after. So you can just kind of have a visual of what we're going for. It's got kind of a nice shape. I did go ahead, like I initially cut these, and then I cut them back again so that they weren't hanging over the sidewalk right here. Now this one is a tad askew. In fact, several of these I brought home because they were damaged in shipping down at the garden center. I can't remember if something like rolled off the top of the plant stack on top of these, or if they rolled off the top of the stack and got damaged. Anyway, they had a bunch of broken branches, and they were beyond the point of us being able to sell them at retail. So I got to bring them home, and I just thought, well, we'll just give them some time, and that's really all they need. They form up a beautiful hedge, and even though this one's got kind of a like a side lean to it, it fills in beautifully. Now the next one is definitely bigger and better shaped, but you can't even tell in the middle of the season. They just all look like one huge massive. Maybe we can put a picture of what these look like in season. They are just glorious. So we are just going to do the exact same thing on the remaining 6 hydrangeas right here. And here they are all done, looking so much better, so much more tidy. They're roughly the same height. I'm gonna wait to clean out the bottom, like to rake out all the leaves when it's not windy, because that's always a recipe for disaster. You rake stuff up in piles and then a big wind gust comes and blows it away again. But you can see the other one that was smashed worse than the others. So this one and this one, but again, like I said, they just fill in beautifully. So now we're on to roses, and I'm basically shooting for the same thing. I just want a nice tidy shape. I want to clean off any remaining foliage, like this stuff right here, which a lot of it gets pruned off when I cut them back. Now on the landscape type roses, I don't shoot for a specific height. I just kind of look at all of them and pick an overall height that I want them all to be in the end. And then the most important thing is to cut above a bud that's facing in the direction that you want it to grow. For example, on this branch right here, you can see this bud that's facing me, facing the outside of the shrub. That is the one that you would want to cut above, because that new branch right there will grow out in this direction. Now, if we look at the same branch and follow it down, see that other bud right here? That's facing toward the inside of the shrub. If we were to cut this branch, right above that bud right here, then the new branch would grow toward the middle and just congest it, and that's not what we want. So we're gonna come in right above the outward facing bud and make our cut. And that is perfect right there. It's also a good time to note any issues you might have with your roses. If you see any canes with big black spots or dark brown spots, cut those out. Anything that might look diseased or dead, and you can tell the difference. Alive, nice and bright green, dead, dark brown. We'll cut this out. Easy to tell the difference on these. Okay, so we're just gonna get all of these 5 landscape roses, and then these couple on the other side. Okay, these are done. Cut back, thinned out, kind of. These landscape roses, they send out tons of little itty bitty branches, and I don't thin all of those out, not like I do on a hybrid tea or a grandiflora, or even a David Austin type rose. These I kind of just leave a little bit more full. Ooh, but look at this. I didn't spot that before. See those spots? I don't want to keep that, that's for sure. I better look these over again. All right, looking real good. On these type right here, now again, I'm not sure if this is a small climber or a large shrub, but the distant drums is a floribunda, right? I'd have to look it up to be sure, but I treat them all pretty much the same way. Floribunda, grandiflora, hybrid tea, and so on. But I like to take them down quite far, and I like to thin them out to where I've got a really nice open vase shape. I'm still gonna follow the same rule in that I find an outward facing bud like this one right here, and I cut right above it. And usually, that one came right at me. Usually I cut them down to about knee height or just above my knee by a few inches, depending on how big the shrub is. But like this right here, see how this one's cruising over and just like kind of getting in the way of this one and this one? I cut those sorts of things out and remove leaves. This one right here comes out. In fact, I think I'm gonna take this whole center one out there. These are kind of competing. This one's larger and more established. So I'm gonna take this one out. So I'm just gonna continue on to where I've got just a few really strong looking canes, and all this up top growth is gonna be removed. And those are done. Very nice. So happy to have those all cleaned up. And I was getting so tired of looking at those dead blooms. In fact, speaking of dead things, I thought we might pop a few pansies and some daffodils in this little trio of pots because they're looking a little rough at the moment. We've got a Japanese maple that's beautiful right here. There is a fern in the center of this container, as well as some lamium that we can cut back. And then this one, like left over. This pansy is like okay, but largely bad. So I'm gonna clear out this junk and I'm gonna go grab some stuff in the greenhouse. And then I'm gonna use the blower to try to attempt to clean up the mess that I've made out here. Look at these. Oh my gosh, they are so pretty. Now I still need to water them in, and when I do that, I will water all the soil that collected on the rim of the pot. I'll water that off so that they're nice and clean. And then I will stain this container, which will cover up all of those marks right there at the bottom. But daffodils and a two-tone purple pansy in this pot. Some great hyacinths and little yellow violas in this pot. And some beautiful little squill. That's what these are called, blue squill and yellow violas in this container. Oh, I love them all so much. They ended up being perfect. Now this one was hard to plant in because it has lamium planted all the way around it. And thankfully the bulbs are small and these came in little 6-packs, so the root balls were small. So I was able to hollow out little spots and sort of pop them in wherever I could. And same thing here. There's a few open spots because if you look, yeah, like right down in here, there's lamium coming up there, right here, and then on the back as well. But don't those just look cheerful? Especially right back here by the kitchen door. We'll see them a lot. And with that, I am going to call it. I think we are going to be done for the day. Actually, the last couple of days, sometimes it just plays out like that. I was talking with my mom yesterday, actually, and we were recalling a spring that was just miserable. Like the whole month of March was sleet and hail and rain and like wind like this, but maybe even stronger wind. I'm protected right now where I'm standing, but it was just gusty and horrid every single day for that entire month. And I remember that one in particular because I was down there at the garden center full time at that point in my life. And I was working outside. I mean, we were receiving all of our plant loves like we normally do, and you just have to get through it. And all of the trees that arrive, all of the big deciduous trees, they're all tied. So you have to stand there and lean them over and undo the twine or cut it and then unwrap them. And it takes a long time to do that. And then getting everything displayed. So the fact that we were able to kind of bounce around based on the weather and get things done here and there is just such a huge blessing to me. I mean, 10 years, I think I was at the garden center for a little over 10 years full time. That was a lot of springs. Not all of them were miserable like the one I just recounted, but you know, our springs can be a little bit unpredictable, as I'm sure yours are. Anyway, all that said, I'm super happy with this whole little spot right here. Love the trees. I just absolutely love them, and I love the containers. So it was a great couple of days. I'm super happy with it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.